Can you guys hear me okay?
California,
Oh, man.
the great wolf.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear us now, Tim?
Is that better?
I
now?
can hear you guys now.
We can barely hear you,
Can you
though.
turn, can you turn up the volume too, Leonard, please?
Good to see you.
Can you hear me now?
Barely.
Barely.
Is your
Okay.
volume all the way up, Tim?
Yeah, my volume's up pretty loud.
There you go. Here it comes.
You know, I
Say something again?
Here's my volume's up pretty loud. Can you hear me all right now?
That's good. We're getting there.
Can you hear us? Can you hear this,
You
Tim?
can hear us, but we can.
I can hear you. Can't see your beautiful faces though.
I like the artwork in the background.
You're talented.
Yeah, you've been
Yeah.
working hard there, Tim.
Yeah, that's what I spend my free time doing.
Nice. Okay, well, we've called the meeting to order, but can we do a roll call? I know it doesn't say. that, but-
Councilmember Wheeler,
Here,
Yes.
Councilmember Euchre,
here.
sorry. Councilmember
Present.
Councilmember Zuber,
Yes.
Mayor DeGraff.
Here.
Your voice.
I'm here. Did you get
Well,
Mr. Wheeler?
The first one was Tim.
Tim was the first
Sounded like
one.
Me. I thought
Yep.
it was you too.
Can we start over?
No, we're moving on to public discussion.
Who
So
the heck is he?
this time is provided to the public to address items not on the council agenda. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Seeing none, we will move into the agenda. And so 2A, accepting resignation of a city council member. Kevin, Tom? Kevin first.
I could start off. Obviously, we're here today because of the resignation of Councilmember Tim Wheeler. He did send the city clerk a letter that noted the resignation to be effective November 10th. So the day after the November 9th city council meeting.
And from, if you want me to.
Yeah, yeah. if you-
You know, we then immediately upon receiving this notice that this was coming, we began to put together a memorandum for the council's review that explains the process and the options that the council has at its disposal for proceeding forward from here. And that memo has been supplied to each of you. I'm certainly available to answer any questions you have about it, but it's relatively straightforward. There's either a special election that would be called, or the council would fill the vacancy by way of appointment. And if you'll recall, many of you were here when Councilmember Nutt passed away very suddenly, and we went into a process to appoint a successor to that seat, and so there's some precedent there for how this could be handled. It doesn't have to be handled that way, but it could be handled that way. And so it was from a staff standpoint, I think this is agendized for discussion and action, and the fact that the letter has an effective date of the 10th indicates that our 60-day period of time to fill the vacancy begins on that day. So we're not under a rush, but we certainly need to move purposefully, I would say.
So we've got till like January the 10th?
I believe that's right, yeah.
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Something like that.
And the council meeting is after that, so you would have to.
Yeah.
There is a potential schedule by which we could get this done by the December 14th meeting, and we're staff can walk through that a little bit if you'd like.
Last question?
Yeah.
So I remember the options. One was a special election, very expensive. One was we replaced Red. We had a public interview. It makes it sound like there's a third option. We can just appoint somebody. Is that what you were saying?
No, that's how.
That is the
that's how
appointment.
the
Okay,
appointment
got it.
process
Good.
would work.
So there's two options.
Yeah.
What happens if we don't do something in 60 days, theoretically?
It essentially, the seat would be unfilled at that point, and that's not a desirable result that I think anybody would want to see. And then you have a belated, I suppose you belatedly have to start the special election process.
Okay.
That wouldn't just delay it till the next general election.
Not necessarily,
You
no.
couldn't run with full council. I'm just asking the question. I'm not suggesting it. I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
idea. I'm just asking. the
Well,
question.
according to what you wrote here, because this happened outside of 130 days before the election, we have to do something, or something will be done for us. Had it happened inside the 130, then we could have let it go until the election.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So
Well,
I think.
I have a question then.
Mhm.
Since, and I sent it to you before, but I'm going to ask it now. Since this thing officially doesn't happen until November 10th, can we take any action today, or do we just talk about it and then take the action at the November meeting? Well, that's even before it.
Yeah, because he's there at the November meeting.
Right, so basically that's right. So basically what we'd be doing is staff is looking for direction in terms of how to prepare for the November 9th meeting. And if the council wants to move, especially if the council wants to move forward with a special election, we need to know that so we can begin establishing the contacts at the registrar's office and moving that process forward. Absent that, and I'm seeing some waves so that, no, we don't want to do that. That's direction the staff can move forward with.
So you're looking for, you want us to direct staff a special election or an appointment?
An appointment.
That's okay.
And if you do a special election, I mean, we're talking 30, 40, $50,000 cost to the city to elect someone to the remainder of the 3 years, or just to
No,
the
it's
one
year,
term?
1 year,
Until the November
2022.
If you did a special election, though, that would last through the remainder of the term, though, no?
No.
I believe it does last the remainder of the term.
A special election would.
I thought your note said no.
Let me look at that.
I thought a special election would remain.
I thought it all goes until 2022.
Why would we spend all that? money?
I wouldn't. I just want to
But
make
would
sure
you
the
ask the
process.
question?
And just so you know, the cost, we did reach out to the registrar and ask them what it costs of a special election. There was a lot of variables in there, but essentially between $50,000 to $80,000, depending on how many polling places and
Yeah.
such.
And that's pointless.
But now, this is kind of how I feel about it. Since it's so soon after the last election, why would we have to do really anything but just go back to last election? And whoever is the person that got the next to the most votes, why wouldn't you just appoint that person?
Potentially other people who are maybe more qualified. I don't know.
Just a thought.
Can you, if you have an appointment process, does there have to be an application process, or can we just put a bunch of names in a hat, draw one out and say, you're it until November 2022?
Yeah, well,
What are we stuck with in the process if we appoint?
Well, you would agree on a process going into it. I want to have a conversation over the top of.
Hold on, Leo asked a question.
Well, because my question is Dean's, idea legal? In other words, when we replace red,
Yeah.
anybody in town that wanted to could apply. We had a meeting, we interviewed them.
Right.
I remember that voting process we went through was whatever. That was the process we used. Can we just pluck somebody out of the community and say, you want to do it, you're it?
I would say this, the law doesn't address that specifically, but I would question whether that's actually an appointment. That's not an appointment. That's drawing a name out of a hat. There's not a process by which the council makes its decision other than just pulling a name out of a hat. Certainly Councilmember Euchre's question of could you just go to the next highest vote getter in the last election? That could be something the council decided to do. Or it could be considered a factor, but not all of the factors that go into making this decision. The law, if the law intended for you, I would take this position. If the law intended for you to just appoint the next highest vote getter, that would be pretty simple. It would take all the discussion out of the council's hands, and the council would be put into a position. It'd be done. It'd be-
Just accept, be a consent.
There, would not even really have to have a meeting to do that. We could just let that process play itself out because that's what the statute says, but it's not what the statute says. So this is the same discussion. Whatever it is.
Those question, it says here, Tom, and I don't, it's.
Yeah,
it's-
you're right.
It says whoever fills Councilman Wheeler's vacancy, whoever, means no matter what process, will serve until the next municipal election.
Yeah.
So even if there's an election, which would be idiotic, spend that kind of money, they still only serve until 2022.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's what I read too, so.
Yeah, that's right. Because the vacancy occurred in the first half of the term. So
And then, let me just clarify something. You said then in 2022, whoever gets honored by whatever means, I don't want to say there's two elections, but it's split up. So Dean and I come due next year. We both run again. That's one election. But then there's a separate election, if you will, for that seat.
item on the
Category.
Category, yeah.
separate item
Two-year
on the ballot.
candidates
Yeah.
and what- and
Yeah,
there's four-year
right.
candidates.
That's right. Yeah,
You're one
exactly.
for one or the other. You don't run.
And
for
you have
both.
to choose. You don't get
Yeah.
to run for both of them.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, speaking for myself, I was here when we had to go through that process with Red.
Yeah.
And I thought it worked out very well. I mean, it moved right along. Everybody in town knew what was happening. It was open to the public when we sat here that night and did the interviews and the voting and stuff. I don't see any reason not to change it.
I agree.
How does the interview, is it like a forum type? How did that
I
process
get
go?
They get up.
If you want, I could just walk you through the process we did last time. And it, at least as a model, and we were planning, this is going to be on the November 9th agenda for the council approval of the process. But this is based off what we did with Red's position. November 9th, the council would approve the public notice that's advertising the vacancy. And also, I said approve application, but it really should be approving the appointment process and what we're about to go through. And then that public notice would get published in the newspaper November 11th with the application period, or could be, this is what we drafted up, application period the 11th through the 18th. And then after that, the council would hold a special meeting to review those applications and then determine the format of the interviews and how that position would be scored. And then a special meeting after that, we tentatively planned for December 2nd, where the interviews would be held. And then at the regular city council meeting, December 14th, the appointment would happen based off the scoring of those interviews. So this is very similar to what we did with the last vacancy.
It seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember. I was there too. Did we have questions that we asked each one of the?
There was.
Okay, so we came up with the questions
Yeah.
ahead of time,
Well, you
right?
came up with the application too. So on the November 9th, we will have the application for council comments, and we used the same one. And we still have the same questions from the interview. So those are good starting points
Yeah.
for the council
Yeah,
to
okay.
see if they want to change anything for this.
I think
for this
that's a-
round.
I
that's
feel
a
like
fair
that's
process.
The most open public process where
Yeah.
the public can weigh in on who they want to represent them as a city council member, rather than just four of us deciding who we want.
That's what ultimately what it
But ultimately,
Comes
that's
down
what
to-
we'll do.
Well, I know, but you get to take public input and let them give feedback as much as possible, or as much as they want. It's the most open process that way, rather than,
I mean, at that point in time, that was our only choice. We had to do it that way.
We could have done an
I
election.
personally felt a little uncomfortable with that. I agree, it worked, you know what I mean? But what you end up it's, I don't know how you want how to say it, but it can be intimidating. Because
personal and.
we're gonna know everybody that wants to be on that. We're all gonna get rammed on it. And,
I already have. And it
right.
hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly, because people have already
Thanks, Tim.
heard.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was thinking, what I was thinking is, well, we just had the election, and probably the same people I would think are gonna apply for that job or that
But we would get
position.
slammed if we just appointed somebody anyway. So I think that.
But if you go back to what I said and get the next best vote getter, the people did vote for that person. So I don't know. Hey,
But
it's just a thought. I'm just throwing it out there, and then we don't have no pressure, which that's part of our job. I mean, if that's the way you guys want to do it, that's fine.
That also assumes that the people who ran in the last election want to take on that responsibility too. But
Yeah.
Or
Well,
that they're the most qualified. There may be some people that didn't run last time. They're, we may decide here extremely qualified. They just didn't run at the time.
yeah, maybe they're interested in it at this
Yeah,
point
I
and
don't
weren't, or didn't
Who
work out
knows?
at the time. So yeah, I
I
would
see
rather
what
go
you're
through
saying.
that.
but I'm just saying
I get it.
that it's just one less pressure thing that we got to deal
Just
with.
because you're on vacation now doesn't mean you can't live through the pressure. And again,
Whatever we decide, or I can deal with it. But
Tim, see, we gotta put up with this crybaby, Tim. See that? Thank you.
we could just let Tim stay on and fly in on every meeting.
I gave it a lot of thought. Hey, trust me.
All the time. Yeah, all the time.
so do you have?
So do
enough?
you have the? I think we have, I think staff has the direction that it needs to move forward with this. Kevin and I can certainly connect and figure out the process.
I think the process you've laid out is essentially what I would have thought would be the proper process.
We did it last time and it worked, so why not? Why change?
I, being brand new to the council when it happened, I had some of the feelings that Dean had, but after it was over, I felt like the result we got was the best we could have gotten, given the situation that we had.
It's certainly not going to be the most comfortable thing in the
No.
world, but
No, but you get to hear everybody on the same night and you get to kind of see how they handle themselves and what they say and things. I thought it was a great process.
No, it worked out, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I get
Yeah,
it.
and the good thing about it was, is I think that, we picked Mark Winchell, and he did a good job. He may apply again, who knows? But after the fact, it was all done and over with. I felt good about it. You know what I mean? And nobody came down and threatened to shoot me afterwards or anything. You know what I'm saying?
You know of.
Well,
not to your face.
but it's political, dude. I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna, those people that want that position, they're gonna be bugging you. You're-
Bug
you-
away.
But
I hope they do. Yeah, be no different than any other contentious decision we've made. So
but exactly,
That's our
yeah,
job.
yeah.
The agenda.
I agree,
says accept.
yeah.
Now, even though it's effective,
Yeah, you can, but acceptance by the city council is not required. In other words.
he's
You can't
resigned.
put-
He
you
his-
can't
resigns, resignation, yeah, exactly. When we intervene or we don't accept a resignation, no, it's not necessary.
Hear that, Tim? We didn't accept it. Sorry.
Right.
It's not necessary to be effective. Now, in an employee situation, there's different rules for that, so we would definitely have
The fact that a council person resigns, they're gone,
Yeah.
whether we like it or not.
on that day.
Well, you can't
Okay.
force them to show up to a
He
meeting.
can state a stipulated
I
date.
know
when
some
he has.
people.
Well,
As we know from a previous chief, that once we accept the resignation, it's done.
Sometimes you run down the hall to get that acceptance too. You don't walk, you run.
you? I remember.
May I just
Get back.
address?
Sorry, you already
it-
accepted it.
Tim wants to say something here, yeah.
Yeah, I got a chance to speak to each one of you individually. And so I got to explain myself, but just to say something real brief for the general public, it was a really tough decision for me, and I was distraught over it for many weeks. But ultimately, I think I'm making the right decision to step down. And life has taken me and my family in a direction that we had no clue was coming our way. And so I apologize for that. But I think ultimately I'm doing the right thing for the city and for the council and for my family. And so I'm open to any questions from the council or staff or from the public at any time.
Hey, Tim, this is Mike. Can you hear me?
I can.
All I want to tell you is family comes first. And you're taking care of your family. If that's the best thing for your family, congratulations to you. We'll miss you, but congratulations to you for doing the best thing for your family.
Thank you, Mike.
And I would say along those lines, we're not going to hold it against you. We understand it's maybe indicative of what's going on in the state that's a little bit out of our control, why a lot of people are fleeing this state, and understand some of those decisions a lot of people are making. So Yeah, as Mike said, family comes first and what's best for you guys. And we appreciate the time you've given us. And we'll see you in a few weeks here at the next meeting still. So,
Thanks, Dan.
yep, we appreciate it. And we'll still talk to you. We know where you're at. We know how to find you. Got your phone number. You're not getting away that easy.
My office is staying there. Don't worry.
Well, all I gotta say is am I gonna lose my CPA too?
Well, I'm making a list of people I want to get rid of. And
Oh.
you're almost there.
Wow, you got a new career as a comedian.
So the answer is yes?
This is how they talk in Bozeman. No BS in Bozeman. They give it to you straight.
Cheap shot.
All right. We have, staff has direction, so whenever you're ready.
And thanks,
Okay.
George. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Curiosity.
Good to
was
see you.
spurred by the paper today.
All right. Well,
It was
we're
just
out
like the front page.
out here then. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
And some buffalo.
Bye.